What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 208, everybody. I am your host, Sleazebomb. Today, we are going to be going over my top 20 rookie wide receivers heading into your 2025 fantasy football drafts. I'm going to rank them out in tiers from baller 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. We're going to talk a little bit about their combine, a little bit about their relative athletic score, their 40 times, their size, their college stats, and why I have them ranked where I have them ranked, and how they're going to play out with their landing spots of whatever happens and what they bring to the table. Now, before we dive into it, guys, as always, make sure you smash that like and subscribe. All the support is greatly appreciated. You guys have been absolutely amazing. My tight end rankings top 10 will drop tomorrow. And let's dive into my rookie top 20 wide receiver rankings for 2025. So if you guys are new to the channel, this is my wide receiver ranking board. Baller tier at the top. These are my must draft stud wide receivers. My rankings are going to be a little different than most because I've done a lot of research and there's some things I don't like about a couple players that are ranked higher than others, but we're going to dive into it here. Starting off with my number one superstar prospect, and I don't care what anyone says, it is going to be Travis Hunter. Now, I know there's the dilemma of where to draft him in your rookie drafts because he's playing cornerback and wide receiver, but you have to look at it a couple different ways here. And here's the first part. If you follow Matt Harmon at Reception Perception, shout out to them. Just look at this man's wide receiver route tree. The success rate is unbelievable. Every highlight, every clip, everything I've watched of him, Justin Jefferson type pro comp for me. Unbelievable jump ball go-getter. Every single route, there is absolutely no weakness with him at all. And let's say he lands at the New England Patriots, right, with the fourth pick in the draft. Let's say that they have the two best corners. They already have Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez. Is he really going to fit in as a corner there? Will he play third down splash plays to help them get a stop? Maybe, right? But you also have Stephon Diggs, who tore his ACL at age 31. So who's going to spend most time in camp with him at wide receiver? It is going to be Travis Hunter. He still put up 1,258 yards, 15 touchdowns, and he was playing both ways. The man is absolutely my number one wide receiver, and if he plays full-time wide receiver and you let him pass in the draft, this man could be up there with legitimately Ashton Jeanty. Number two of my baller tier, it is not going to be Ted McMillan. It is going to be Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State with 1,011 passing or receiving yards on the season, 10 touchdowns. And you got to remember, the wide receivers that this guy has played against on his team since he's been there have been astronomical. Ohio State just produces stud wide receivers every single year. Emeka Egbuka outside of Travis Hunter, right? Obviously, so Travis Hunter plays. He's my number one. It's not even close. But outside of him, he's the most pro-ready to be the two or, wherever the landing spot's going to be as a valuable fantasy asset right away. That is why I love Emeka Egbuka so much this year, and I hope his landing spot doesn't kill his value because this man is an absolute stud. Heading down to tier one here, starting off with number three, it is going to be Ted McMillan of Arizona, 1,319 yards. Had a monster season to go along with his 8 touchdowns on the season as well. Now, his 6'5" frame, he ran a 4.55 40, which is nice to see there. Rare combination of size and hands, with how big he is. He's going to be the red zone threat for most teams, the biggest wide receiver coming out. But you got the update that he doesn't like to watch tape, which kind of hurts him. And it's just the route tree for him is just different for me. I'm just not as enamored with Ted McMillan as other people are. Can he fit in and be a must-start wide receiver? Of course, landing spot, again, is going to be everything. Say he goes to the Jags with BTJ, right? Be absolute monsters on the outside. Say he goes to the Saints. You never know with Olave and the concussions and Rashid Shaheed coming off injury. Landing spot's going to be everything here, but I do like Ted McMillan as my number 3 wide receiver heading into the season. Now, number 4 is going to be Luther Burden. Luther Burden out of Mizzo, 208 pounds, 5'11", ran a 4.41 40. And his skill set is just like a Zay Flowers to me, right? Just a gadget player that is going to be out there making plays. And when you're looking at, say you pull up any of his, college stats or any of his highlight tape, he is the most to me, like footwork fundamental off the line speed demon with the way he does it is very, very interesting to watch. I mean, landing spot, this guy could be in the slot. He could play for any single team in the slot right now and is going to be an asset in your fantasy football drafts. He's my 4th wide receiver off the board. Number 5 is going to be Tre Harris. Tre Harris is the guy that is like, I feel like he's just being undervalued right now out of Ole Miss. Put up 1,030 yards. You got to love the SEC competition he's playing against, 7 touchdowns. But with Tre Harris, it's like he's a true X wide receiver. You're not going to get him in the slot. They could run a couple formations here and there where he's there. But this guy is going to be a guy that can win right away and be a go-getter wide receiver. I almost thought about like ranking him number 3. That's how enamored I am with Tre Harris. And he's going to be my 5th wide receiver off the board. Now, number 6. I've seen enough posts now where people have Matthew Golden going in the first round. Okay. Now we're going to talk about them both at the same time here. I'm going to go down and get Isaiah Bond, who I have down in tier 3 here as well, because they both played at Texas. They both had phenomenal seasons. And if you watched any of the tape, when Isaiah Bond got hurt, then Matthew Golden was out there shining. When Isaiah Bond was out there to start, he was putting up better numbers than Matthew Golden. So I don't understand how they think that Matthew Golden is going to be going in the first round. Yes, he's an immediate deep threat that's going to stretch the field with a straight line speed, but that's all he really has shown me on tape. He can do a couple gadgets. He needs to open up his route tree a lot more. He's 6 foot. He ran a 4.29 40. Thought he was going to beat Xavier Worthy. Didn't happen, but damn, he's flying. So he can definitely get out there and stretch the field. But I am not as high on him as others. Landing spot is going to be everything. Like, put him, say he goes, late second or mid second or somewhere with like the Ravens where you can just fly like Zay Flowers, be the gadget guy, DeAndre Hopkins, be your possession guy, and just have Matthew Golden go nuts, right? Then you're looking at it differently. Now, when you're looking at Isaiah Bond, who we talked about a little bit here, he's going to be a 2 right away for a team. And he's going to have the explosive playmaking ability, great yak playability as well here. 5'11", ran a 4.35. So both these guys can fly, right? That's what these guys from Texas do. Now, I just don't, with Isaiah Bond, again, we're talking tier 3 already. I don't think he's going to have a massive impact on the NFL right away in his rookie year. But again, that does depend on your landing spot of where he goes. Could change everything. But I'm a little lower on Isaiah Bond than most people. Now, heading down to tier 2 here, this is my guy. So when I say my guy, like these are the top 6, right? Elite players that everyone's in on the class. And I almost put Jaden Higgins in tier 1. Iowa State. This man is a freak of nature athlete. His relative athletics was off the charts. 4.3940. 4.4740 at his 6'4" size is absolutely insane. So when you look at, Ted McMillan at 6'5", he ran a 4.55. This guy's an inch shorter, ran a 4.47. Big speed difference there. Going to be able to stretch the field. Now, I saw his reception perception chart. Does not have great success first man, but that will change. And you got to remember that he was also playing the entire year with his running mate, Jalen Knoll, who's going to be up here as well. So when you're looking at, say I'm pulling up, Jalen Knoll and I'm pulling up Jaden Higgins, right? Their yardage is about the same, it was like a 17-yard difference. Both studs out there on the field. Now, Jalen Knoll, when you're looking at him, he's more of a vertical slot type wide receiver, which is where he's going to thrive at in the NFL. It's probably going to be in the slot right away, but you never know, again, what's with the landing spot where it hits. But I like Jalen Knoll as my number 8 wide receiver off the board. And we're cutting around because, we're talking about the same team at the same time. And there's a lot of 2-player colleges that are coming out. So a lot of things to like there. Number 8 is going to be Alik Alamayanor. I hope I said his name right, out of Stanford. 210 pounds, 6'2", ran a 4.40. He's going to have a high-end wide receiver 2 type production, but I don't know if I believe he's going to hit the wide receiver 1 kind of upside. Could happen, down the stretch here. But when you're looking at, coming out of Stanford, he's got the brains. They're smart. Everyone always likes that every single time. And it's like, how do I explain it where I want it to make sense? He's kind of like going to need to feed off of someone else would be my, go to with him. I don't think he's out there true alpha at all in the first couple of years of his NFL career. Now, coming in behind him is going to be Jalen Royals, and this guy has just been flying up my boards. Utah State, 205 pounds, 6 foot, 4'4", 240. The man can move. And how he does it is he's a field stretcher. He's a house call player. And I know, you could say they don't have much competition. Yes, that's true. There's going to be a lot of wide receivers in the NFL that have come out over their career that you could say, oh, they're from a bad college, like Jerry Rice, man, Mississippi Valley State, right? You never know the talent you're going to get or the work ethic of a man when you look at it. But when you're looking at Ayamanor and you're thinking, where am I going to draft this guy in my dynasty rookie draft? This is like a late round 2, early 3rd round player that can. My doorbell's ringing. Hang on, I'll be right back. Sorry, have my pest control guy and the dog come in going nuts. But back to Ayamanor. So 2 years out of Stanford, 1,000 yards his sophomore year, junior year, 800 yards, put together 12 touchdowns. A wide receiver to look at late in your 2nd to 3rd round drafts here. Now, kind of lost my spot here. Now, one of my favorite wide receivers at value here is going to be Jack Beck. And we're going to talk about Savion Williams because they're both out of TCU at the same time. And why I have Savion so much lower is because I think that he fed off of Jack Beck. Now, Jack Beck, 6'2", ran a 4.55 40. Savion Williams, 6'5", ran a 4.4 840. Now, when you're looking at Jack Beck, he has an amazing college story, had that great Senior Bowl game where he balled out, touchdown at the end, transferred from LSU to TCU, and put up 1,034 yards and 9 touchdowns as well to go along with it. Now, his big body, like you've seen a couple people, a couple scouts and reporters and analysts, however you want to look at it like that, say that he could be converted to a tight end. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think that when you're looking at Jack Beck, that he's a guy that's going to come in and contribute right away. Obviously, landing spot is going to mean a lot with him. But when I'm looking at Savion Williams as well, he's kind of like, he kind of fed off of him. So, yeah, you get the college stats, you get the height, you get the combine, you get the RAS, everything like that with Savion Williams, and a lot of people are higher on him than I am. I don't think he's going to be a factor as much. Again, landing spot will mean everything, and he could be a red zone threat with his big body, but I see him being more of a, year 2, year 3 kind of breakout player here. Now, the guy that everyone's just beating up right now is Xavier Restrepo. So Xavier Restrepo's 40 time absolutely crushed him. It doesn't hurt his value for me, okay? So when I'm looking at, Xavier Restrepo, right? This guy had Andre Johnson, not Marvin Harrison, Michael Irvin, all the Miami guys, I couldn't think of the name, come down as he broke the reception record, the yards record, everything for Miami wide receiver. Now, do I think that is going to hurt him at all because he had a bad RAS score or a bad combine? No, tons of players have had bad combines or bad scores. I don't look at anything like that. But the past 2 years, he's had 1,000+ yards receiving, 17 touchdowns combined. He gets a little rushing work here and there, and he's going to come in right away, and he's going to be like the technician in the slot. Now, you don't have to be super fast in the slot. Obviously, it does help, but he has very, very good route running, and his footwork is phenomenal. He's just a little slower doing it, obviously, as we've seen. But you've seen slot wide receivers thrive that are slow. I mean, off the top of my head, let me think of like a Julian Edelman. He's not super fast, and he thrived in the slot like a god. So Xavier Restrepo, I am not as completely out on as other people are just because of a bad showing day for him. Moving on behind him to round out the end of tier 3 is going to be Tez Johnson out of Oregon. 5'10", ran a 4.51. And when you're looking at Tez, Oregon's offense, obviously all their playmakers, all they do is, thrive, right? He started his career out at Troy, transferred to Oregon. Past 2 years combined, he's had 2,000 yards total, averaging 1,000 yards on the season. had a better year as a junior, but played 2 more games at the same time. So back-to-back double-digit touchdowns, you have to like that as well. And when you're looking at how he's going to impact the NFL coming in right away, right? He is a quick release kind of slot guy that's going to be a perfect fit for some teams. Just depends on where he lands. But man, he is very, very quick. That's the number one thing that stands out to me is his quickness. And I like Tez a lot. It's just going to be landing spot for him as well. Now, heading out of tier 4, this is my kind of sleeper tier where I rank the guys higher that I like just based off of what I've seen. Now, if you're looking at Arian Smith, right, and you're going to say Arian Smith's numbers are not that great. They weren't that great for a 5-year career at Georgia, right? He only had 1,356 yards in his 5-year career. Not a great look right there. But what stands out, his combine, his relative athletic score, his athletic freak of nature type player that he is, 6 foot 185, and he can fly, man. You get this guy out in vertical inline space, let's say throw him on the Steelers, right? You got George Pickens, DK Metcalf, just let Smith just fly and let A-Rod bomb it to him. That is what he is going to be in his rookie season. He's going to develop. He has a ton of development to happen. Route tree, blocking, schemes, quickness, everything off the line, hand checks. A lot to work on, but he's one of my favorite prospects athletically coming out of this wide receiver class. Coming up behind him is going to be Ricky White the third. Now, he was at Michigan State as a freshman, transferred to Nevada, and has balled out. So if you look at his junior year, he had a better junior year. He would have had better draft stock coming out last year, but the class was so loaded, I could see why he stayed behind. 1,483 yards as junior than 1,000 this year. He had more touchdowns this year than last year. And when you're looking at, Ricky White and why I'm much higher on him than others. So he is like on most boards, probably like 20 to 30th range. But when you're looking at him, so 6'1", 4'4", 40, and his 40 time wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the best one, or 4.61. Sorry, I said it wrong. But his 10-yard shuttle was great, and the guy is just like, as the game gets going or the game gets more competitive, he just gets better, and it's just it's hard to explain. Like even in the Shrine Bowl, he broke out a little bit there as well too. And man, I said Nevada, UNLV, sorry. But he's one of those guys that's going to be like a sleeper threat for me that I like over other names that are down here. Now, number 12, 14, number 16 for me is going to be Nick Nash. Now, Nick Nash led all wide receivers in the NCAA in receiving yards. And it's like it's completely forgotten about. I don't understand that. But, what people are going to say is it's because the competition level he's playing against, it's not the same as the SEC or the Big Ten or something like that. The man still produced at an insane level, even at San Jose State. So 195 pounds, 6'3", big body, 4.57, not a bad 40 time, right around Ted McMillan's time there as well. Obviously, Ted's a little taller, so he seemed a little faster. But he has the body frame to develop into like an NFL-ready player right away. Now, obviously, he's going to be drafted later in drafts. He probably need a couple injuries to happen to get his shot. But, man, when you put up an insane amount of college numbers, I just don't understand how this guy can be, overlooked. And he was second behind Harold Van Jr. in total yards. So the guy put up astronomical numbers. And when you're looking at like Jalen Rowland playing at, Utah State, he didn't put up anywhere close to Nick Nash, and they're both competition is just as bad. So something to think about there as well. Coming in at number 19 is going to be Torrey Holton, Colorado State, 6'3", ran a 4.41. The man came from Nevada, transferred to Colorado State about his sophomore year. Now, he got hurt his senior year, right? So he put up 1,000 yards, and then he got hurt in his senior year, only played 6 games. He was on his way to even a better year. So 3-year developmental player coming out of college. He was going to have probably some of the records of Colorado State's wide receiving if he would have finished the year strong. And he's kind of your like prototypical, I don't want to say just vertical threat because that's what he is a vertical threat. But he's kind of super skinny for his size, like 6'3", 185. Needs to put on a couple pounds, that's for sure. Needs to bulk up a little bit. He's going to take some massive hits to the NFL at that size. But I believe in my head, in my heart of hearts, that he is one of the deep sleepers in this class, and that's why I have him ranked inside my top 20. Now, last but not least is going to be Tai Felton out of Maryland. 6'2", 4.3740. The man, obviously, when you play at Maryland, it's not like the biggest recognition school for wide receivers. They haven't really, I can't even name one off the top of my head. But what he's done since being there, and he never transferred, never went anywhere, but 4-year player at Maryland, he's gotten better every single year. So freshman year, lower numbers. Sophomore year, higher numbers. Junior year, higher numbers. Senior year, higher numbers. Everything has gotten better. His development has gotten better. And when you're looking at how he's going to impact the NFL, he's going to be a Z-type receiver, 100%. Like a Zay Flowers type gadget guy. He still has the speed at 4.37. I watched a lot of his tape. He's not much of a jump ball go-getter, one-on-one man beater. It's going to have to be manifested for him. But in the right system, could be, a wide receiver 3 fit right away and working his way to the starting spot over time. But he's going to round out my top 20 wide receivers. Bang. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my top 20 rookie wide receivers heading into your 2025 drafts. And we got the NFL draft, which is 22 days away. I will also be doing a giveaway. I will also be live for the draft as well if you guys want to pop in there at the same time. I'm going to be working on my tight end rankings coming to you tomorrow here. I'm only going to leave my top 10 tight ends because I don't think this class is that deep. It's top heavy, but it's not that deep at tight end where they're going to be impactful in fantasy football right away. And remember, smash that like and subscribe. All the support's appreciated. And the number one thing to remember on top of that is do not let Travis Hunter slip past you in your drafts because you think he's going to play both ways. I promise you right now that 65% of Travis Hunter playing wide receiver will produce more than maybe everyone but Egbuka in this class. That is how good this man is. It is crazy. Before we head out, if you guys have any questions like that, drop them in the comments. It does not have to pertain to this video. I'm here to help you guys with anything you want, answer any questions you guys got. And that's it for me. Thanks for watching, man. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Sleaze Bomb out.